Tonight, Steve Irwin killed by a stingray in a freak accident on the Great Barrier Reef.
Tributes for a Queensland adventurer loved around the world.
He would have said, Crocs rule.
Stunned visitors pay their respects at Australia Zoo.
I think Australia's lost a bloody good bloke today, and it's very sad.
This is 7 News with Rod Young and Kay McGrath.
Good evening. Queensland adventurer Steve Irwin, who won fans around the world for his love of dangerous animals, has been killed in a freak accident. The croc hunter was on the Great Barrier Reef filming for his daughter's new TV series when a stingray barb pierced his heart. Friends say Steve Irwin died doing what he loved best. He was 44.
It started as just another adventurous day in the life of Steve Irwin, a bit on the tame side compared with what he's used to, a trip out to Bat Reef off Port Douglas. But this project in paradise ended with news that would shock the world.
Today the world has lost a great wildlife icon, a passionate conservationist, and one of the proudest dads on the planet.
Irwin was filming a segment on tiger sharks for his daughter's new TV series in an area renowned for sharks, turtles and stingrays. He was swimming in shallows above a large stingray. It turned quickly and lashed out with its tail. The venomous barb pierced Irwin's chest.
He left this world in a happy and peaceful state of mind. He would have said, Crocs rule.
He was taken to nearby Low Isles. His boat Croc 1 was there. The plan was to medevac him to Cairns Hospital, but he couldn't be revived. The crocodile hunter was no stranger to playing with dangerous creatures, a stingray one of the least frightening. Fatalities are rare, 17 worldwide, 2 in Australia.
You should normally be pretty safe from them. Like I said, the only issue could be is if you accidentally had a kneel or stand on one, they will protect themselves, but they would normally placid species.
The news came as a huge shock to colleagues. There were tributes for a man many believed was indestructible.
He was a great operator and was just too young to die, and the way he died was just terrible. It's a terrible shock to me.
Praise too from politicians.
I really do feel Australia has lost a wonderful and colourful son. Someone who not only did great things for tourism, he did great things for conservation. He was just a wonderful human being, and this is just a dreadful tragedy.
At Australia Zoo on the Sunshine Coast, the Irwin family's tourism pride and joy, there was disbelief.
My girlfriend's very upset, and I think Australia's lost a bloody good bloke today, and it's very sad.
Word spread quickly. Irwin was a wildlife hero in the United States.
The man known as the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, has died. He was killed in a marine accident.
Steve Irwin is survived by wife Terry, who's been travelling in Tasmania, and children Bindi and Bob. They'll ensure the legend lives on.
I am a wildlife warrior, and I'll fight to the death for wildlife.
Neil Warren, 7 News.
Steve Irwin's fame was global, and it was America that made him famous. Irwin's breakthrough there came on cable television with an animal act that made khaki shorts and Aussie slang must-see TV.
The man who turned crikey into a catch cry.
Oh, crikey!
A national icon in stubbies and shorts.
I see you, big boy. There's a good boy.
Most of us didn't really get to know him until America discovered him for us.
Here comes Stevie, watch him on the TV. Action, you're a wildlife attraction.
His hit TV show, The Crocodile Hunter, turned him into a national hero both here and there. Movie deals.
The trick with catching this alligator is to be wary of those teeth. Huge, great, penetrating teeth.
TV appearances.
All of the gear's kept under here, though. And they've got... Can we get back to this end? Oh, yeah. yeah.
He was Australia's Dr. Dolittle, speaking freely with the animals.
By crikey, I love me snakes and me crocs, mate. Yeah, right.
But his life wasn't without controversy. This unorthodox way of introducing newborn son Bob to the world attracted international criticism.
Watch him, here comes Bobby, and launch!
There were always critics.
Look, he's turning animals into circus acts.
2 years ago, they slammed him for disturbing wildlife in the Antarctic.
At no stage did I ever try and touch the whale. However, the whales were all over me. It's a big ocean, mate, and I can't swim as fast as a whale. This is the mode of transport, all right?
He didn't care. He just loved his work.
It's just like heaven on earth. It really is. I was born and raised here.
A career the 44-year-old was born into. Mum and Dad owned a wildlife park.
It was a tough existence, but my mum and dad made it work. Oh, with my help, of course.
He even met American-born wife Terry there, in the crowd, in 1992.
We started talking and we fell in love right there and then, and it hasn't changed.
They have 2 children. Before baby Bob, there was Bindi, now a star in her own right. His family and fans left to reflect on the irony of a man who courted obvious danger, killed by a creature normally so harmless. Chris Reason, 7 News.
Steve Irwin was a frequent visitor to Queensland's far north, where he'd spent years documenting the beauty and the dangers of the reef and the rainforest. 7 Sunrise reporter Monique Wright is in Cairns with the latest on today's tragedy.
Kay, we now know that Steve was filming with a cameraman at the time that he was stung. They were underwater and the cameraman had no idea that he'd been stung until he saw blood in the water. Now, he lifted Steve into a small inflatable boat and then took him out of the shallow water into deeper water where Steve's much larger boat, Croc 1, was anchored. There was a doctor on board who worked on him, giving him CPR for about 30 minutes while they travelled to a nearby island where a paramedics helicopter had landed. There was a doctor on board there as well. But by the time that they arrived there, they said that there was nothing that they could do for Steve, that he had already died. Now, we also know that Terry has broken the news to the 2 children, Bindi and Bob, and that they are now travelling from Tasmania, Cradle Mountain, where they were trekking, back to Australia Zoo. It's believed that a charter flight was organised for them and they're back at the Sunshine Coast. Now, people here in Cairns are obviously shocked, very distressed. People down at the marina are saying they're especially shocked because stingrays are usually very placid. They're also saying that Steve was a fabulous ambassador for Australia, but especially for Queensland. Kay?
Thank you. Monique Wright joining us there with the latest from Cairns.
There's been an outpouring of emotion at Steve Irwin's Australia Zoo. 7 News reporter Kathy Wise joins us now live from the Sunshine Coast.
Well, Rod, people have been coming here to Australia Zoo all afternoon and paying their respects, laying floral tributes. I guess a small sign of the great respect for Steve Irwin is that this afternoon a soldier stopped here outside Australia Zoo. He saluted. That was his way of paying his respect, and just so many people coming here to do that. Of course, Australia Zoo is an international tourist attraction. People come here from across the globe to see it, and the big draw card has always been Steve Irwin, the great showman. And it was in typical show business fashion that the show just kept rolling on here today. There was no announcement inside the grounds about Steve Irwin's tragic death. Staff were gutted, but they just got on with business as usual as best they could. The first that many of the visitors here to the park knew about Steve Irwin's death was when people, family and friends who knew that they were here, started calling in and breaking the news to them. When the park finally did close, probably just over an hour ago, the staff got together inside the grounds. They huddled and consoled each other as best they could, and then they started that slow, sad drive home to grieve with their families. Rod.
Thanks indeed, Kathy. Kathy Wise reporting live from Australia Zoo.
Well, few could match Steve Irwin's devotion to the environment. SeaWorld Marine Sciences Director Trevor Long says Irwin made the protection of endangered species a mainstream issue.
I don't know of many people that could ever achieve what Steve Irwin's achieved in his lifetime, what he's done. He's done some amazing things. He's been able to bring conservation issues into the household, into the living room of people that probably didn't have an understanding of what they were. He's done it with a sense of passion and commitment that seems to invoke a similar passion from those people that has often ended up in real outcomes. So I think that his passion, his drive, his energy is something that, is a real rarity and is something that's going to be very, very sadly missed. And I don't know if anyone's going to be able to be another Steve Irwin.